interesting Dave's been working on, so.
I'll start.
You're gonna start? Perfect.
So this
Keeps
is,
me out of the picture.
It's a portable tool case. I'll give a backstory. That's me 20 years ago, 21 years ago, with Young Chan. Does everybody know Young Chan? Is there anybody know?
No.
Oh, he's an exceptional furniture maker from California, and he specializes in, actually the course I was on was, this was Rosewood Studio. And that's Ted Brown's, Ted Brown, anybody familiar with Ted Brown? He ran the school. That was his workbench, and that's a certificate from the College of the Redwoods. He actually pointed that out to me because I sent him that picture. So that's Young Chan. He came up from San Francisco. He was a guest instructor. And the course was, believe it or not, it's a hand tool oriented school, but this particular class was classic joinery using power tools, so we hardly ever touched any hand tools. But aside from that, so when he travels, when Young Chan travels, he brings this portable tool case with him, and I was very, very impressed with it, and so were a lot of other people. So I took a couple of pictures, and I primarily took dimensions of it because I told myself one day I'd want to build it. So late last fall, I sort of ran out of projects to do, and I remembered this, and I took it upon myself to build it. So I completed this around Christmas time, and I made some changes, some enhancements, even from the scale drawings I'll show you. But that's the original. Now I only know of one other instance of this, and that's, you guys familiar with Steve, forget his name, Southwestern Ontario, Steve Durr. Yeah, he's actually made one.
Yeah.
So he attended Rosewood Studio also.
Yeah.
He must have found out about this too. So he actually made one, and I might have a picture of his. So,
He's the veneer guy.
yeah, exactly. He wrote a book on that. So working strictly with images and some rough dimensions, and Steve's version and this version, I sort of did some scaling, and I came up with, because all you really need is the width, the height, and the most difficult part was the stand, the tilt on the angle on the stand, because it's all inclusive. And I'll show some pictures of that. The stand disassembles and it fits into the, and this box has a lip and a rabbet, so it comes together, and I took it apart earlier, first to transport it. And I made some changes. His version has a lip and a rabbet actually profiled into the edges. And I found that, I changed that design because I found the lip was kind of small, it was a 1/4 inch. It was kind of fragile for my taste. So I did it differently. I did an outside box, and then I made this the lip, the inner compartment edges, or the outside frame. And I used this as the rabbet for that, for this, and this is a 1/4 inch high. And I made some other change from his version, had absolutely no drawers. Young Chan's version, whereas this has, the original one didn't have a compartment here. So I started adding drawers, and they're actually easy to make, so there are more compartments and some leather straps for measuring and marking tools. That was fun making those. And on Steve Durr, forget his, can't pronounce it.
Garbidi.
What?
Dirk Garbidi.
Yeah, Steve Durr Garbidian's version had a couple of drawers, I think. I have a picture. So that's, now there's something interesting about this picture. Can anybody guess what it is?
Something interesting about what?
The picture, the photo.
The photo. My hair is getting not as gray.
But I still look the same after 20 years.
Close enough.
My wife laughed at that one. Well, that's what's the word, genesis for this. That's the same, that's Young Chan's version again. I found this, he spoke at a large woodworking guild in California 15, 20 years ago. He's still an active woodworker, by the way, and he travels. And so I used this picture along with the other picture, and I started to understand how he created that frame and a stand. And it took forever to decipher all this. And that's Steve, their, whatever, his version. So he did have some drawers. And now the thing about these portable tool cases, they're really, really customized to the tools you have. So these are completely customized to my hand plane, my wooden hand planes that I made 22 years ago or something, 23 years ago. And this and these Japanese planes. So that's his version, and his version, if I'm not mistaken, is completely in oak. So I had a choice of, that was another criteria, I wasn't sure what type of wood to use, so I wanted something a little lighter, so the outside frame is black limba, and the inner part is walnut. I use walnut too, but then the other dilemma I had was, should I finish it or not? And I opted not to finish it at all, I just couldn't settle on the finish. I bought the Osmo and the whole thing, but I didn't want it dark in the wood, so I just left it as is. I might still finish it. So that's Steve's version. This is when I began to lay things out, and the only real way to design one of these is to actually lay things out in full scale. And this is, just brought them in. I did make many changes to these. Actually, they don't even probably look much like the final version. So the only way to really do it is full scale to the tools you have. This is very critical to get it right with the tools, because the chisel lengths in particular, I mean, if you make a mistake here, you always have to design around your longest chisel. And fortunately, most chisel lengths are fairly standardized. This is a longer one. For what?
We're suggesting you just grind the extra off your chisels. They don't fit, just take the top off.
Grind it,
I'll take the handle off.
grind it down.
So that was quite an exercise of a matter of 3 or 4 days trying to get everything right. And we noticed some of the chisels don't even come close to what these are now. And I just opted on wooden spoke shaves. I restored these wooden spoke shaves a year or two ago, and they're lighter, so I opted for these. They work well. So another criteria is a weight. Try to keep the weight down. And so I just opted for wooden planes, wooden spoke shaves, and Japanese saws, kataba, areoba, and Kazuki. Some more layout options, or still working things out here. Japanese squares, layout tools.
His original one had a bow saw, didn't it?
No.
Nope.
I don't
In
know.
the picture,
The picture it did.
In the picture, it showed a bow saw.
had a push pump drill.
Really?
Go back to that picture.
Yeah, well, this compartment, I'm going to, I forgot to put a plane adjusting hammer here. Should have. So it's at some point, there it is, that's a plane adjusting hammer. But at some point, you get away from his version and you start to really develop yours, because it's really based on the tools I have. His chisels are all shorter, and I'm mistaken. And I think he makes most of his tools, he makes most of his settings. So this is the beginning of it. The outside frame is dovetailed. And if I had to do anything differently now, I made them separately. But the smart way to do it is to make them one piece and then saw it apart, although it could be a kind of unwieldy on a table saw. But that's the smarter way to do it. This is where the big moment where I try to determine if everything is uniformly square between the larger, the deeper case and the top part. And it was. So that's what it looked like when I was assembling this. Again, it's 2 months ago, over 2 months ago. This is what it looked like. I was actually going to stop here, but then I said, it just doesn't look right with these large compartments. Everything's moving around. It just doesn't make sense to have everything kicking around in the compartments, especially that compartment above the hand planks, so that's when I built it up. I decided to fill it in. Yeah, no hand tools, sorry guys. So it's dados, so many dados with this, and so critical to get these dados lined up. Even if you use the same piece of wood and then slice it and rip it along, you still have to, still a matter of lining it up, and all the rabbits have to, it just drives you crazy, especially if you have OCD or something. But that was fun. And I do have this, this is interesting, it's a router table sled. Has anybody ever seen one of these?
No, never seen that before.
It's amazing. I use that for, with a fence, there's a little a stop, and it just slides along. I built this 20 years ago. It works well. I lubricate the sides.
So you just bolt the router underneath?
Yeah, the router's always bolted.
Oh, you just
There's
leave it
a conventional fence under, I just pull it off. It's on the bottom now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a router table sled, color. It just slides along.
So you just have tracks on either side?
Not tracks, the outside of the table itself is a
Right.
And you see a stop with
Oh, yeah,
a channel.
okay.
Works really well.
Sneaky.
You didn't set up a pin so that you can just keep going from one to the next, and it keeps everything perfectly aligned?
No, he's got a block on it, stop block.
I just put out, basically the same way.
Yeah, an indexing pin, yeah.
An
I use that for
indexing
equal parts and all.
Yeah.
Norm,
Yep.
does the sled have runners that ride against the edge of the table?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the way it
Yes.
works, okay.
Well, it was very important, very critical to get your table perfectly square. And it's very it's tight, and keep it waxed, and it's just amazing. A lot of shooting board work with this, especially for the miters and for fitting all the components. And I use that religiously, non-stop. My most used jig in my workshop. I have two of them set up now. With 90 degree and 45 degree attachments. So what I normally do is rough the parts out very close to the final dimension and then fine tune them on a shooting board.
Norm, would you use your shooting board for the 45 or would you use your
45.
miter jack? Like would you do your 90 on your shooting board and your 45 on your
No,
miter
not the
jack?
same one. All the cases, the drawers are all 45. They're all
So
done.
you're gonna sell me your miter jack?
What? I've got two of them. You want both?
So how do you do the 45? Because the shooting board's gonna give you, like you can do a 45 on the
Oh,
flat.
there's an attachment. I might show that. There's a 45 degree attachment.
So you can, like you just.
It's like a ramp
tilt the
down.
fence.
Yeah, it's a
45?
ramp. It's a ramp and it bolts in.
Okay.
Yeah. Might have it. No, I don't have it. So this is where I'm doing preliminary fitting of all parts. There's some stressful points, but then it's also fun getting everything in there and watching it building go. Oh, that's the ramp.
Oh, I see, okay.
So you
Okay.
bring it down to.
So you just have a 45-degree
Yeah.
ramp and you just run it along the, oh, okay.
So different versions of this. There's some more interesting versions of how to create miters. But because the the sides and the front of this are only 3/16, a quarter inch, so it's
Yeah.
All right.
fitting that middle compartment. And I actually assembled them strictly with blue tape, all the miters, and wrapped them around, you know, that system, gluing it all together. Might even have a photo of that.
Do you use splines in it afterwards?
Splines, keys, foot feathers. Building up the drawers. And I use leather straps for a reason because I want It's important to maintain a low profile, so everything fits together, so.
Those shoelaces, Mike?
No, they're my wife's jewelry, so there's leather straps, leather rope you can buy. Just a bunch of fitting the drawer. Now, this was the interesting part of laying all this, I'm trying to understand how this works. And doing this all manually without a CNC, this is ideal for CNC. You're doing multiples of these. So all the slots were created on a drill press table with a fence, series of holes, and then files. And this was done with a saw. Everything was cut on a bandsaw. Earlier on a table saw and a bandsaw. So these are actually different for both cases, and they come together and they disassemble. Does everybody understand what I'm referring to? Everything fits in.
Actually, if you can pull off and show one, like
Yeah.
pull off.
Well, I've got a photo here. That's the other. So that's this one, the lower one. The larger case has only 2 slots for some reason, and then this upper case has 3. And they all fit in. And that's a Young Chan. This is Young Chan's design, just for the most part. This is the concept, not this particular design, but the concept. And everything fits in, it's interlocking, and it fits in here, so.
Are they stacked, one on top of the other?
What do you mean?
Is there 2 layers there? We're only seeing
No.
the upper layer?
No, just, oh no, each half has its,
Oh, it fits in its own half.
has, yeah. I've also got these strips. The man thought of everything. So you wonder, so when you're putting this back together, this is the part that sits on the table, for example, on the workbench, and this is the part that flips over. So the big concern is everything's going to fall. So he developed a system of these strips, and they fit into little mortises, and they're actually sort of concave, or convex in the middle for distributing the pressure, and it fits in. So you actually it deflects a little. You just have to get the right thickness so it deflects correctly. So they have tenons in the ends, and it seems to work fine.
How does that work now? I don't quite understand.
Can you show us?
Not sure. And this fits in there. Don't forget, there's another layer of.
Oh, okay. It's after you put the cans in.
Yeah. So this flexes, and you haven't slapped, so.
The strips are in place in the left image up there.
Yeah, they're only on the one side. This is the part that actually flips over onto that side, so that there's no problem with resetting. It's so much thought that goes in. It's pretty clever, right?
It can't
It's
be the
not-
first one he made.
Who,
Young Chan.
yeah, I think so. Just for personal use. I don't know what I'm doing there. Probably just trying to see if that stand part fit in or something. And these are the 2 stands, one for each, assembled. And that's exactly what it looks like today, most likely. Oh, and then phase 2 of this was, I thought, this is crazy to make something like this and only use it to be able to transport tools. So I thought this should be up in my workshop somewhere on a wall. So this perf board's been up for 25 years. So I said, that's the only spot I had available. So what to do. I hardly ever change saw blades on my table saw. I have a combination blade and I don't use it much. They're just there for decor. And so I removed it, and it's been there so long that it starts ripping out drywall, and I had to repair all the drywall. But then I used that space for this, and I created some torsion boxes with the black limba trim, and they're lag bolted into studs, and they're torsion boxes, so they've held up since, and that's how I've set it up in the workshop now. So that's formerly where the board was the tool board. And there was some remnants of tools on that tool board that I still needed to access, some measuring tools, layout tools, so there it is. It's over in another wall somewhere. That's all I really need from that tool board after everything.
So that shelf that you put underneath that,
Yeah,
how did you connect it back? So that it didn't just,
well, it's a torsion box, so it's
Yeah,
all
but-
reinforced with.
but it's connected back into the studs
Yeah.
on your, so how did you connect back into the studs? Just screw it in or?
Light bolts.
Light bolts?
Yeah, yeah. Light bolts, light bolts. Light bolts, and it's pre-measured to hit the studs. And it would have to go in the studs.
Yeah.
It's just some other. You have any questions, or I don't know what
Yeah, two of them.
else? Oh.
Is that shop, like, is that just for show? Because, I mean, it is obscenely
Yeah.
clean. And dust-free and,
That comes up every time.
Yeah.
It's always like that. It gets dirty. I have a broom now. My
yeah.
wife
Leaves
cleans
out
it.
some, it's, no dust.
Yeah,
You'd be surprised at all the crap.
yeah.
It's just
Charles, I was
mostly-
in Norm's shop once, I took my shoes off and walked around my shop.
Like
The only shop that's cleaner
Don's
than
been in
mine.
my shop. It's like,
Well, it's spick and span.
Well, that's yours. And yours?
Not a speck anywhere.
Yeah, but no woodworking is being done. Hey, Brian,
It gets dirty.
Okay,
did
and
Lee Valley at one point in time sell, Chung's chisels, the tiny little chisels that he used to have?
We sold a set
Right here.
that were designed by.
Right here, right here.
Ying Chen, right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so those are the
right,
ones
and we know
okay.
they-
Right here, right here.
I know, but
Yeah.
they're
And
lovely.
they were made, I think they were designed by Ying
Right
Chen,
there.
and did we not have them made by
Yeah,
Paul
there
Bibby?
was a knife maker.
Brian.
Oh, guy in
Yes,
Nova
that's
Scotia.
right, yeah.
Paul Bibby.
Yeah.
You should bring them back, they're
He
lovely.
won't be
Norm,
here
Norm has
anymore.
got something to
I
say on that.
know.
They're right there. Detail.
Yeah,
What's that?
They're right there, the
yeah,
details.
yeah,
Roger was asking if we used to sell them.
That's where I bought them.
yeah,
That's a good idea,
20
Roger,
years
thank
ago?
you.
yeah, and also the ramp too. Yeah, the miter ramp too, Brian, the miter ramp too.
The miter ramp.
Yeah.
Oh, for the.
Yeah, for the shooting
Because you
board.
see, yeah, we do, the shooting board we sell is fine for, what do you call it, any miters.
Face
But for
miters.
Face miters, you
miters,
have a
yeah.
ramp.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But not
so
case- not
you
case
need an
miters, not-
accessory to
Yeah.
that.
yeah, not case miters, face miters on that. I have another
Come
attachment.
on, guys.
I have another attachment on that shooting board for face miters, but you saw the case miter attachment. Well, those are detailed chisels, and I have a stand for that. And I've got 6, and they were expensive at the time.
Oh, yeah,
But they're strictly for pairing,
Yeah.
light pairing too.
I've got those two that are in
Any other, you asking them?
So, yeah, and question two, like you've made this case for traveling to go somewhere and everything else. Do you like do off-site installations or things like that?
No,
or-
just demonstrations.
Oh, demonstrations for your.
I do, I'm gonna get upset now. Some guest lecturing at Industrial Design at Carleton in their program,
Mhm.
so I'm gonna be bringing it in, so. That sort of thing, whenever I'm invited somewhere. I might be going to the Furniture Society conference as a speaker. I might bring this down, see if I can get away with it at the border. That sort of thing.
I think if I was to do something like that, it'd probably be quite embarrassing. I'd be bringing most of my stuff in one of
Do you
these.
think if we're on vacation, my wife would notice it? Oh, don't bring that.
Would you dare put that in check bags?
No.
It's a bit
Strictly.
big for carry-on, I don't know.
I don't think you take sharp edges off, right?
Yeah,
the carrying on would be tricky.
I wouldn't even take a flight with this. I'd probably just drive the distance.
Yeah.
Norm, just a practical question. When it comes together, how do you carry it?
I carried it in, but I had to remove the planes. I hurt my back shoveling snow a few days ago, so
Okay.
I'm wearing a weight belt, a weight training belt. It comes together,
Yes.
and
What
straps.
is it? What straps? Okay.
It's
Yes, okay.
But I'm going to get nicer straps, I just wasn't ready. Nicer luggage straps,
Yeah.
heavy
Like
duty luggage straps.
leather luggage straps.
Yeah,
Yeah. Become nice. to have
wider ones.
handles on each end of it.
Yeah. Oh, really? Well, if they can support the weight, yeah, yeah.
I suggested wheels on the bottom too.
There you go.
A little motor.
Didn't journeyman woodworkers used to like walk around with a case like that and go
Not
from
quite
town
like
to
this,
town
not
until
quite
they got
like
their
this
masters?
with that idea, with this concept. I've never seen that really. I
Mhm.
mean, they have tool boxes, they lay on the floor and
Yeah.
They used to use tool totes.
tool totes too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But- So again, the first time I saw this was 2004, I think. It's one of the first classes I took at Rosewood.
Well, obviously the guy that you saw,
Young Chen?
he must have taken that on an aircraft because he came up from
Yeah,
California.
he did.
Yeah. So he must have a way of doing that.
Yeah, I don't remember. You might
Yeah, I
have-
just put it into a backpack.
Not very,
You might have met, yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah, back then you could just put it in.
Might have mentioned
Put it in a
it.
Pelican box or a
Yeah, that's probably what I did. Put it in a Pelican box.
Put it what?
A Pelican box, you know, one of those padded.
Maybe like a
Yeah,
Fiberglass.
because he did bring some other,
Mhm.
Yeah, but a Pelican that size would be,
500.
yeah, at least.
what is that? Is it fiberglass?
It's just a heavy-duty shipping crate type of box.
It's plastic.
Fiber
Plastic
reinforced.
lined
But they
with-
normally come loaded with the foam, so you could
Yeah, you
Yeah.
just drop it in.
just cut out the foam and drop all these in then,
Yeah.
if you're gonna do that.
Again, this is these are the first floor drawings and kind of stopped with these at one point when I started putting the drawers in, but it's very, very critical to get everything right down to a 32nd of an inch. As it interlocks, it comes together. So.
Where'd you learn old-fashioned drafting? By yourself?
This is drafting?
Yeah?
Oh, I studied drafting in college.
Good go.
I don't know. Just the only way to do this is full-scale drawings.
Yeah.
Just use, I have, the Amazon, Costco box, I keep them all. I cut them up into sheets. Come in handy. I don't have anything to add.
Great.
Well, maybe we'll take a bit of a break and have a chat. And I think there's another presentation here. Okay.
That just gave me some time to set up.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. So in the meantime,
form veneer display stand, which I'm going to show you. So I got to start off by giving thanks to three people who have been instrumental in me actually getting this to where it is today. The first is Ron Barter of Rosewood Studios. Probably most people here know Ron. Ron was key to helping me with the design as well as the construction of the curved panel, which I'm going to talk about. Steve Turgarvidian, who we've already heard a little bit about today. Steve is down in Mississauga, and Steve gave me some really, really good advice for doing the veneer. And the third person is Ron Hall, who was a former member of the OWA. And Ron was good enough to loan me his vacuum press and vacuum bag. Couldn't have done it without him. So, it's the three really important people. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about the client's requirement. So the client in this case is my sister. And years ago, we had a family trip to celebrate my parents' 50th wedding anniversary. We ended up in Venice as part of a cruise. And my sister and her then husband bought this piece of Venetian glass. If you ever get a chance to go to Venice and see the glass, it is spectacular. Highly, highly recommend it. So the sculpture, it's about 1 meter tall, so it's about that big. It's a big thing, and I don't doubt that it costs many tens of thousands of dollars. Not a cheap piece of art at all. My brother-in-law sold his startup so they could afford it. So it used to be displayed in their house on a great big table, and through to circumstances beyond anybody's control. They ended up downsizing. My sister now lives in Burlington, and she's got this sculpture, and she, geez, more than 18 months ago, she says, Rick, yeah, the sculpture is like sitting in a corner. She goes, I need something to display it, because she doesn't have this big table anymore. So she said, can you make me a display stand? And I said, sure, I can do that. So the requirement from the client is the display stand had to go up against the wall. She didn't want any shelves or drawers or anything like that. Wanted to be very simple. And then we also talked about actually putting lights inside, because that base at the bottom is in fact hollow. It's almost exactly the size of a gallon paint can. So we had this requirement, and that started a design process. I'll tell you, I mentioned Ron. So years and years, I've known Ron a long time. Years and years ago, Ron was talking about design, and Ron said, back when he was a commercial furniture maker, he would go to a show or something like that, and he might have a cabinet or something, and Ron said that a couple might wander by, and the woodworker of the two would say, oh, I can make that at home, and of course they wouldn't buy anything. Ron told me if whatever he did had a curve in it, they would look at it and go, oh, I can't make that at home, and that would help him make a sale. So I've always had this idea, because I have never done anything curved in my life. So this was going to be an interesting exercise. So my sister and I talked about, okay, what do you want? And she had said, well, she didn't want anything too flashy because she didn't want attention drawn away from the sculpture. She didn't want a table because there's always this temptation of, oh, I've got a glass and there's a flat surface, so I'm going to put it down. Once again, this is a display stand. It's not a crap stacker. So the sculpture itself, she wanted it to sit about, the base would be about 18 inches off the ground. So the sculpture would kind of be, you'd be looking down or at eye level. She wanted it to be a dark wood. Thankfully, we settled on walnut as opposed to something exotic. I'll talk a little bit about that. And I managed to find just some of the sketches that I started with, and I went through many, many iterations of that. But just talking about a shape for the stand. And we settled on a flared design, and this is something that Ron and I had talked about. When you look down at something, if it's square, in fact, just because you're looking down, it tends to look tapered. So by flaring it out, when you look down on it, it looks natural. It almost looks like the base of a tree, because the base of trees flare out. So it's imitating something in nature. The sculpture itself, what I'm going to show you, is going to sit on an internal stand, and the cabinet carcass actually floats around that. So, our design process went through lots of sketches and ended up with a shape looking from the top, which looks kind of like this shape at the bottom. It's created with 3 circles. So there's a circle in the middle, small radius, and 2 much larger circles. And I call it the Mickey Mouse shape, and my 20-something-year-old daughter said, oh, Dad, that's not Mickey Mouse, that's Dead Mouse. So, so I started with big sheets of paper and big compasses and just drawing things and cutting them out. And so it was a very iterative process. Lots of trial and error to get it to look good. And I can't say there was any math behind it, other than I just, I tried something, does that look good? No, maybe tweak it, move things around a little bit. So that rapidly led to getting an actual prototype in full scale. So, this is exactly what you think it is. It's foam floorboard and paper. What I did was I created the top shape and the bottom shape, and I glued them together, and then I just found a big piece of paper and I glued that on. And this was kind of the final version. So there were many iterations of that. Just playing with, once again, playing with these different shapes. I also made a mock-up of the sculpture itself, and that was, I literally found an old paint can, I found a scrap of masonite, I put a stick in it and glued it together. And that allowed me to kind of build something where my sister and I could kind of go, yeah, we think that works. So from a learning perspective, the value of getting to a full-size prototype for a project like this was of tremendous value, because there's no way, I could have done something like this in SketchUp. I'm not even sure how I would have done that in SketchUp, but to do that and say, oh, that's going to look good, we actually needed to see it, with something that was going to be about the right size and go, yeah, we think that's got it. So the construction steps that I went through. So first of all, I had to build a form to vacuum press the front panel, and I'm going to talk all about these in a lot of detail. I had to vacuum form the front panel, I had to cut the side pieces, I had to cut the back and the top, and then I had to build the internal structure to hold the actual sculpture. So, working with curves. People here, who here has heard of Wigglewood? A few people. So, this is a piece of Wigglewood. If you want to work with curves, Wigglewood is your friend. It's plywood, and you can do this to it. So, I'll pass that around. So, Wigglewood is also known as flexible plywood. It bends in one direction, and you can buy it in 4x8 sheets. I got mine at McFadden's, and you can specify which way you want it to bend. So you can purchase it so it bends lengthwise, or you can purchase it so it bends widthwise. For working with curves, it's the only way to do it. So what you do with Wigglewood then is you create a structure which you have to apply veneer to, and then you hold that, and as the glue dries, the veneer holds it in the correct shape. So in order to do that, I had to create an actual form to give me this shape so I could put the Wigglewood on it and then go through the veneering process, and that would dry into the correct shape. So what I had to do was build a form that had my top curve and my bottom curve, and then I needed 11 curves along the way, because the vacuum form applies an enormous amount of pressure, and I had to be able to withstand that so the whole thing didn't fall apart. So with my curves, and every one of those I knew the actual radius. I used Affinity Designer, which is a drafting package, to create basically 13 different versions of that shape, going from there, ending up there, with the iterations of the different radii of the way. So I exported those. I have a shaper origin. I use that to cut them out. I could have done them manually, just cutting them out freehand and sanding them, but using a shaper was a lot quicker. I attached it all to an MDF base, and I glued a piece of Wigglewood on, and I vacuum formed that. So, pictures, the picture's worth 1,000 words. So, that is the end view of my form. You can see I cut out, that happens to be the top shape, so it's imagine this curve, down to about there. So it's a piece of wood that captures the top part of that curve, and there are 13 of those individual pieces along the way. I put a piece of Wigglewood on top of that, a lot of glue, and then I vacuum formed that. So that's in the vacuum bag. The vacuum press, you put it in, you let it sit overnight while the glue sets, and that gives the actual base. That base weighs a ton, because it's mostly made out of 5/8 or 3/4 inch MDF. I just use scraps I had floating around. So, but the base itself is that big. So it's a serious piece of wood. It weighs a lot. I would have brought it in, but it weighs too much, so I didn't do that. And it's one of those things that I'm just going to have to cut it up, and it'll go away, because I'm never going to need it again.
What's the spacing between the ribs?
Oh, it was
Approximately.
It was between, I think it was about 1.5 to 2 inches.
Yeah.
And it was kind of arbitrary. I'm of the brick battleship school of construction, that it's like, when in doubt, go more as opposed to less. Because the last thing I wanted was the vacuum to actually squish it and pancake the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I erred on the size of putting more in, and it worked.
I guess that's why I'm asking, yeah.
So I was worried about that, and luckily it didn't.
So there was
And-
enough stiffness in the wiggle wood.
Exactly, and if you see the wiggle wood, in the direction it doesn't bend, it has a fair amount of strength.
Okay.
But I was absolutely worried about that, and it was like, oh, if this happens, what am I going to do? Well, we'll cross that bridge later.
It's a design feature.
And luckily it didn't happen, but I was absolutely worried about this. As I said, I've never done anything like this before. This was a learning experience for me.
What glue are you using?
Beg pardon?
What glue, Rick?
Excellent question. So I happen to use Type Bond cold press veneer glue. Although actually, you know what, I take that back. I think for that one, I use Type Bond 3. So I use Type Bond 3 for almost everything, but for the actual veneer, I
But
use...
your ribs aren't beveled at all, then they're just flat on?
So I actually, I did bevel them, or what I did was, I beveled the bottoms. So I cut my ribs, and then because they were gonna be like that, I beveled the bottom, and they're just screwed into the bottom. So, yeah, and that was another thing to avoid that little bit of dimpling, because I was concerned about the sharp edges. So, yes, that was
Good question, Steve.
Are the curved radiuses at the top different from the curved radius at the
Absolutely.
bottom?
Absolutely, yes.
So how does the wood twist to adjust for those? It's like you've got to
you know
stretch
what?
the wood. so
It
that-
does.
It does.
So, yeah, so that's the only answer I've got, was absolutely. That shape is different than that shape, and all these ones along the way,
Right.
Create that gradual taper, for lack, to the extent a curve can taper. But I created that taper, and then I put the wiggle wood on, and I squished it, and it just worked. So, yes. So I said that my sister, this conversation with my sister started more than 18 months ago. Here we are, and I'm still not done yet. Now, part of it is just that, okay, how am I going to solve this problem? And the other part was just a flat out fear of like, oh my God, this isn't going to work. And I would not do anything for, in some cases, weeks. Because oh my God, I spent all this time and I'm going to mess it up, and I would just park it. And then eventually I'd get up the nerve, okay, I'm going to do it. And this happened multiple times across this project. So the actual front panel, I started out by building a curved front panel, and that's a combination of a piece of wiggle wood, a piece of veneer, and a piece of wiggle wood. So what I did was I put that onto the form, vacuum formed it. Once again, I used Type Bond veneer glue, and when I let that sit, that created a form, or that created my front panel incredibly rigid. But it's that piece of veneer that's in between the two pieces of wiggle wood is what's holding everything together and giving it that shape. So when that's done, then I had to put veneer on the front and on the back. And that's where I got nervous, because once again, I've done all this work, and now I'm going to take big sheets of veneer, and I gotta put glue on them and actually do something. So this is a piece, I'm just going to pass this around, but you can look at it, you can see piece of wiggle wood, piece of walnut veneer, another piece of wiggle wood. So
Why 2 layers again, for strength?
just to, you know what, Ron said do it that way. But I think it is a part of just giving it that strength, because if I put just veneer on it, then it's possible it just could have flexed. So I think, yeah. But really, it was, Ron said, hey, do this, so I did it.
So the glue is water-based. So how
Yes.
did you keep the veneer from potato chipping between the time you apply the glue and?
Excellent question. Let me come back to that. So.
Been there, steep
Yes,
hill.
so when it came to, for the middle piece, it was easy because I just, slathered it with glue, created the sandwich, put it in the vacuum press and let it do its thing. So there was it was like no waiting time, I just did it. And because it was being compressed on both sides, there was no risk of it doing that. So when it came to the top, the inside and the outside, that's where things got interesting. So I was able to source some book match sheets of veneer, and in order to create that joint in the middle, I wanted that to be absolutely perfect, because this is front and center on the cabinet. So the process I went through, and this was an area where Steve gave me some help. So I created a jig where I sandwiched so I had my 2 pieces of veneer, book matched, front to back, and then I created a jig, which was 2 pieces of MDF, and I sandwiched those, and I had a tiny, tiny bit protruding. And then I used the shooting sander, which is basically, imagine like a square piece of pipe with sandpaper on it, to shoot that, and that gave me a perfect edge on the 2 sheets of veneer.
That's actually called a clamping or jointing jig. It's used.
Okay, there you go.
I just have a video coming up tomorrow and it talks.
Look at that. So, so that gave me 2 sheets of veneer with a nice clean edge. So put them together and use veneer tape to hold everything together, which gave me a big sheet of veneer that's, that's about like 24 by 24. And so here I've got this big sheet of veneer and I've got my panel. And to Dean's point, it's like, okay, like what now? So this is where it was just a function of being brave. So I did the inside first, just as an experiment. So I took my big sheet of veneer, slathered it with glue, spread it around to get it nice and smooth, applied it to the panel. Because of the moisture in the glue, that allowed the veneer to flex. And that was just a big fear point I had, was that I've got this big veneer, if I flex it to that shape, is it going to crack? Luckily it didn't. So I put the back piece on, get that into the vacuum bag, and that I only let that sit for, I didn't need to let that sit for super long, like maybe a couple of hours, just to get that in place and starting to set. And then when I got the nerve, it's like, okay, now I can do the front piece. So, and that's the money shot. That's where, okay, this is what everybody's going to see. Don't screw this up, Rick. So I had my nice sheet of veneer. Once again, lots of glue, nice and smooth. Getting it in there and realize I'm trying to wrestle. I've got my form, I've got my piece of wood, and I've got this vacuum bag. And a vacuum bag is incredibly thick plastic. And I'm trying to wrestle it all in there, and I want my veneer to be perfectly straight, on my piece. And like all I can say is I did it. And once again, it was just getting the nerve to go and do this. So once that was in the vacuum bag, I let it sit overnight, and I was like, my God, this all worked. So at that point, I had a front piece, and then I had to kind of do all the other stuff. So I had to build an internal stand, which you can see right there. So the sculpture sits on a shelf, and then you can see how my stand's a little bit taller. The carcass itself is just going to physically rest on top of those.
Rick, a question?
Please.
I don't think you had any spring back.
If I did, I would say it's not measurable.
Yeah, with
so.
Using that single dimension of
yeah.
substrate, I don't think you have a problem.
Yeah,
but normally there is, and you have to allow for that.
Yeah, and the reality is, in this design, like a lot of the cuts I was making were based on actual dimensions. Like I had this to kind of work from, but the reality is that if you were to measure what I've done and measure this, they're going to be close, but they're not going to be spot on. And and I was worried about, would I get any spring back? So I can't say if I put it on the form. No, I don't notice it. But could there be some? Absolutely.
Using a wiggle plywood, you don't get it as much as conventional plywood.
Good point. That's right. Yeah. So I had to cut the top. I didn't bring the top piece with me today to show you. Luckily, I was able to get a piece of 14-inch walnut. The top actually extends around the edge a little bit just to get a little bit of relief. So then I had to kind of do all my cutting because my panel I intentionally made oversized. And I had the wiggle wood panel, I had the veneer. I actually put strips of walnut on both sides, and then I did thin pieces of walnut which I bent, and it was just to give me an edge to work with. And in fact, the piece that's going around, you can see that I had the walnut on the outsides. In fact, on one of them, my veneer wasn't quite wide enough. One of the things I had done with the veneer is my grain was like this. I actually angled it in a little bit because it's on a curve and you're looking at it. It actually looks better if the book matching kind of goes like this. But my veneer was only so big, so I was kind of limited as to how much I could actually do that. So then I had to do a whole bunch of cuts. So I put together my side, back, and side. My back was made of all these pieces were solid walnut. This piece was book matched. Had an interesting little adventure. So I had a big piece which I cut, and right after I cut it, the whole thing went cup like that. And it's yes, we all know that happens, but it's like, oh, okay, what am I going to do now? So it wasn't thick enough to allow a whole lot of me planing it down to make it flat. So what I did was I clamped it flat, glued straps across it, and they held. So in fact, and you can see if you look inside it on the back, like I've got these pieces which are just glued because I had no other way of dealing with that cupping. Luckily it worked.
Rick?
Yes, sir.
Why did you go through the trouble of book matching and everything else, the back, which is going to be against the wall and never seen?
Because I'm anal about things like that. In hindsight, it's like, why didn't I just get a piece of walnut plywood? Right? It's like, I don't have an answer other than, I had the walnut in my shop. It's like, oh, well, I'm just going to do this because that's how I would do it. Yeah. But in hindsight, especially for the back, yeah, I should have just got a piece of walnut.
It's like I noticed you used the same walnut veneer on the inside of the face.
Yep.
There's a...
Hey, Rick?
Yes.
You didn't have to go through all that trouble. All you had to do was take that piece of wood you used on the back and the automatic curtain.
Yeah. So when I had my back and two sides, which I just glued up, so then I had to actually put this curved piece, and I had to actually figure out, okay, how am I going to make this? So I plunked it down, kind of held it in place, and I traced a line underneath. During my design process, I had actually thought, oh, it'll be really cool if my side piece is curved too. And then, I kind of, Rick, give your head a shake. The joinery is going to be hard enough as it is without dealing with, multi-dimensional curves meeting. So that's why I actually stuck with a straight side. But, would it have been cool to, do like a curved side?
Oh, yeah, especially like a miter joint.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyway, so I'll be honest, I chickened out. I went with straight. So, all the joinery is just done with rabbets. So I used a combination of, in some cases I just, plunked it on my router table and did that. I also did a lot with the skewer rabbet plate just to create the rabbets. And then on the outside, I actually put some veneer trim, or some ebony trim, which was a combination of, I thought it would look cool. It also hided some imperfections in my joinery. So that's, one of those, is it intentional or is it just covering up? So then we have to attach the top and apply the finish. So, like I said, I'm not done. But this is where it's at. So I'm not going to pass this around for obvious reasons. But I will give everybody a chance to come look at it. Oh my God. So, Yeah, so just some other things, so you can see, like, so my veneer had a knot in it, and that unfortunately, that was actually broken even before I started. So I used some dark CA glue, which cyanoacrylate or crazy glue. You can buy it, it's actually dyed dark, so I just put that in there to fill that in. And so that's where it's at. So, it has been a learning exercise the whole way. As I said, I have never done anything like this before, so. So I need, oh, yes, go ahead.
Looking at it from where I am.
Yeah.
This side.
Yeah.
Does have a bit of a curve in it.
It probably does.
So you did succeed in putting it.
And I'm relying on the fact that, when I actually get this to my sister, she's going to be thankful and not complain. Now, a question, I need your help. So my sister Nancy, so I said, so how do you want to finish? And she goes, oh, most of everything in the house is semi-gloss. Can you do semi-gloss? And I of course said, sure. I've never done a semi-gloss finish. Can you give me any advice on how to put a semi-gloss finish on that?
Osmo. Osmo is really cool.
Osmo? Sorry?
Semi-gloss.
Just Osmo, okay.
Yeah, keep in mind, it's gonna really darken the wall.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and that's not a problem, so.
That's why I didn't use it.
Yeah. My personal, like the one I use for everything,
Yeah.
unless it's enclosed, but if it's the outside, I use Levos.
Levos, okay.
Yeah.
I'd use Osmo.
Yeah.
Okay,
Osmo will be much easier to do.
right, because I've used Levos, I've used Osmo, but not semi-gloss before, so this will be, so like just brushed on?
Coat after coat after coat.
Yeah, 1,000 grit, rub it in.
Okay,
Yeah. That's what I do.
okay, no, this is,
But it looks beautiful.
this is what I'm really looking for is help
You
in
can get
that.
the buffing pads
Yeah.
at KJP for the
Yeah.
Osmo.
You
Okay,
can get them cheaper on Amazon if you're actually.
Yeah, if you do.
And there's nothing better than. I bought a ton of them before this whole thing happened.
Right.
You can also,
yeah, go ahead.
The difference I've found between Osmo and Levos is Levos to get a nice finish, you need multiple coats, like anywhere from 3 to 5 to 6.
Yeah,
Levos, sorry. Whereas Osmo is good with 1 or 2 coats.
yeah, maybe 3.
Actually, 10 looks pretty good.
You can also get the Mirka rubbing pad too here from New
yeah,
Valley.
okay,
And that's also really good.
right.
But when you use the Osmo, you don't really have to go to high grit
Yeah.
Okay,
sanding. You can get away with maybe 220, 280.
okay.
Actually, Levos is very clear in their instructions, do not go beyond 220.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Well, after you get a few coats built up, you can do 600, no problem.
Yeah, okay.
But
You can do
build up.
800. You can do 1,000. But then you start getting an automotive finish after.
Right, and yeah, and that's,
Yeah,
yeah.
don't
At-
want
At the end of the day, it's still a stand for something else. So,
You remember you
yeah,
were.
and, I'm not, I'm not looking for a grand piano finish,
Yeah.
so.
Well, Rick, it really depends. Do you want to penetrate a finish or do you want to?
That's the two.
Because if it's
Ooh,
these are all penetrating finishes. but
Yeah.
Lacquer is on the surface.
Okay.
Just
for my ease of application, listen, I've used Osmo, just never semi-gloss.
The other thing you got to think about here, this is gonna be sitting on the floor.
Yeah.
And they have, she probably has cleaning people coming in.
Yeah.
Stuff,
Yeah.
they're banging the shit out of it.
Ah, yeah.
So you wanna be able to repair it. So you're better off with a penetrating.
Yeah, like with
Good
Osmo.
point.
Well, but the other thing is, probably the best thing to do is like hoist it up a little bit so it's off the floor.
Yeah, so in fact, when it sits on the stand, it is off the floor a little bit.
It is,
so,
okay,
yeah.
so this
They're gonna
sits
bang
on
into
the
it.
stand more?
Yes, exactly, yeah, so that sits on the stand, so the whole thing is, like inch and a half or 2 inches off the floor, so,
Like
yes.
I just spent a ridiculous amount of money on a kitchen. The cleaning guys came in, and the second time they were in, they knocked one of the pieces off the bottom thing. One of the kick plates.
Yeah,
I had to,
Enough
yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
how are you going to, like, what's the top going to look like?
So the top, I said, I
Is
should
it
have.
gonna overhang?
Yeah, so the top extends about an inch or so in every direction.
Except the back?
And it's got a chamfer on it, so, yeah.
And what's the sculpture weigh?
It's not, like, you could pick it up, it's not, like, it's heavy enough you wouldn't want to drop it on your toe, but, it's not.
I'm just thinking about
80 pounds.
toppling.
So, and that is one of the reasons why this is going up against a wall. And the way it's gonna sit on a shelf so that it's only gonna protrude, about that much is gonna help prevent toppling, but really, if, my sister's kids are, are out of the house.
Okay.
It's not like they're little kids who are gonna be running into it, so that's less of an issue.
Is it a big sister or a little sister?
She's slightly younger than me.
So, and you mentioned something about you're gonna put lights on the.
Yeah, I just bought some battery-operated LED lights, and so the base of the sculpture is actually hollow. So
Yeah.
I'm just gonna tuck them in there, and I'll have to, and the ones that I bought have a little remote control.
Yeah.
So you can just turn them on. So anyway, that's just a fun thing more than anything.
Yeah.
So how does that attach to the stand? Does it just sit free on it? Like, is it,
So what?
or
Yeah.
is
So
it actually bolted in place in some way?
So imagine, if you will. So you've got the stand,
Right.
which
I mean, I understand that that's, you slide that over the stand,
yeah.
but, if it's just sort of free floating, it could theoretically move around.
Yes,
So-
absolutely it could.
And we probably don't want that to happen.
Yeah, and, so there it is, so, basically imagine, this plugged down.
Yep.
So you see those four pieces? Those four pieces are just gonna sit like this. So that's gonna hold the whole thing about a couple inches off the ground. And, yeah, you're right, and maybe
Like, I could go up to it and
I'll,
I could do this.
and maybe I'll do something so that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So, like, it's not done, I'm not there yet, so
Yeah,
that's
yeah, gotcha.
another problem to be solved.
Yeah, how close is the diameter of the hole to the outer diameter of the?
So there's another learning. So this is funny. I cut a top out of MDF, and I should have brought that. So at one point I took it down to my sister's, and we're using this, and I said, okay, get the actual sculpture, not my mock-up. And I realized that the base was shaped just like that. So my measurement wasn't big enough. So I discovered that, and it's really good because I discovered it before I cut the hole in the actual top. It needed to be, half an inch bigger. Like it was that close, but it was like, I'm glad I did it, because once the hole is cut, making it bigger is hard.
It's rabbiting, but.
Yeah. If you've been to Murano and you've seen how they make the glass and everything else, it's like, especially a piece that big, it would slump a little before it
and
sets.
that's,
So that would give you the shape right there.
Yeah, so it is ever so slightly barreled, which, that hadn't occurred to me until I actually saw it. And then, I knew what happened, so I'm glad I tested it before I cut the actual hole, so.
So I gotta put my engineer's hat on here a little bit.
Yeah,
You got this thing sitting up off the ground. If somebody bangs into it, it will have more of a tendency to topple over.
Yep.
Have you thought about connecting it back to the wall and having some way to wedge it?
we could do that, yeah.
That might be
Yep.
something worth thinking about. And then the actual glass piece that goes in, you build a ring around the bottom of it and have a ring around the top of it so that it's held in tight. It'll have less of a tendency to fall over on you.
Yeah, good thought, yeah.
I would second both of those things. I just mentioned, I've been to Murano. I wanted to come back with some glass. I know how much that stuff is. When you showed that picture of it, I'm like, are you? Like, I'm trying to imagine, where does that go in the plane hold on your way back home?
It's actually, it's a fascinating story. So, of course, when you're spending a stupid amount of money, they're more than happy to say, we'll take care of shipping. What they do is, they put it in an appropriate shaped container. Well, actually, sorry, before that, they give you a piece of tape and you sign your name on it, and you put that on the sculpture. So then they take the sculpture and they put it in a container and they fill it full of foam, like the self-expanding foam. So that fills up. So when this thing is in the container, it is not moving. And shipped that to Ottawa. So by the time we got back from the cruise,
I guess it's glass.
like the sculpture showed up a week later. But the thing was, because my sister had actually signed her name on it, she couldn't say, oh, you switched my sculpture and gave me something else. It's like, no, look, your name is right there. That's yours.
That's fine.
But if you just minor plug, if you get a chance to go to Venice, well worth it.
You have to go over to Milano. Okay, you have to get off the main island.
Yes, Murano's one of the islands,
Yeah,
but well worth it. So yes,
Question for you, Rick. Is that your floor, or is that someone else? This is sort of off kilter.
that
60 degrees or something, right? Just curious.
oh no that
Is it an optical illusion?
no, so that is an optical illusion.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
and yes, that is my floor, and that's a
Just
curved
my
wall.
OCD, I don't know. I
Okay.
don't know. Who laid that floor? Because that's amazing.
And that is a curved wall behind it.
That was
Yes.
that was my second guess. At first I was wondering, okay, it's either at
I'm
60
sorry,
degrees
if that was my wife, she would want me to lay the wood.
Oh, yeah, no, mine too. And actually, it looks amazing. I
Yeah.
kind of want to lay a
We
floor
did that in one of our rooms. Yeah.
Simple question.
Yes.
How did you clamp the front to the back with the front being curved?
Carefully. What I did was I actually put, very thin strips of wood, and then I just clamped it all the way along the edge.
Just to feather it out till it was flat?
Exactly, yeah, so. But a lot of this, as I said, I had like no plan or anything to be able to measure and say this has to be this big. It was, I created something and then I measured against it. So, it was very much an iterative process. And and lots of like, how am I gonna do this? How am I gonna do this? So it was just, it was an adventure. And, that's why it's been, 2 years in the making. Yes, sir.
Would you do it again?
Oh yeah, it's been fun. Like so, I said, this is my first adventure with curves. So it was a huge learning experience, and okay, now I've learned it. I can do it again. Now, I said I'll have to borrow Ron's vacuum bag again. But
You can also do it like.
Art, yes,
Rick, will you promise to take a picture of the final installation?
I will.
Thank you.
Yes. So anyway, I don't. So
With lights on.
Yeah, so unfortunately, so I was telling Art earlier, so I hurt my shoulder last year, and I had a torn rotator cuff, which I had surgery on in January, and I'm still recovering, so I can't actually do anything in my shop for a while, so I need to get back at it once I get my range of motion, so. Anyway, so that's it. So, okay, so I have final question for you on a completely different topic. So, I inherited my father's shop, which has left me with a whole bunch of duplicate tools. What's the best way of selling tools? I've never gone down this road before. Like, where do I go?
Facebook Marketplace.
They're all hand tools.
Rick, do you want to sell them as a bunch, or do you want them, or you want to maximize value?
I want to maximize my take out of this.
Because you could call Doug Orr.
Doug wouldn't be interested.
You talking about machines or hand tools?
They're mostly hand tools.
Like we
Like,
talked about.
not surprisingly, lots of Veritas.
So just
itemize them. I
Yep.
would say that.
send us an email and we'll just send
That
it.
would not be mine.
Okay, cool, thank you. So, yeah.
Especially if it's Veritas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah, no, I have, I know,
Just
because,
sell them for what he paid for it,
hey, listen, I gave Dad,
which is half of what they cost now.
Birthday, Father's Day, Christmas, Dad got a Veritas tool. So, now that I've got them back, I have two of everything.
Schedule a day and for everybody to come pick up their.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, thank you. I'm still in the inventorying process, but,
I was gonna suggest just invite Norm over.
Oh, myself.
Put me on the list.
Yeah.
oh, okay, and I'll, once I get my inventory done, I'll send it. Okay, any more questions?
No, great.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna start with something that Bob Augusta sent over.
Take this.
You guys all know Bob Teston. He's always had something interesting. So he was here a few minutes ago to drop off some stuff. And he said, Don, why don't you show this? What it is.
Go to the front.
What I was asking earlier, what the hell is that?
So what is it? What is it?
It's a speaker for a megaphone.
Speaker for a phone. Has everybody got a phone? I didn't bring my phone with me. Put your phone on, and you have to have music on it.
You want music?
Yeah.
Oh, I get it, yeah.
Old-fashioned hearing aid.
So this is all turned, okay? This is all turned, this is turned, and this is turned as well. Where's the speaker?
Speaker above.
Hang there. There you go.
That's a horn. Oh, what else?
And it stops. Look at that.
Yeah. Where's the actual speakers? Is it on the top?
The answer is yes.
Turn it around.
Usually they're, if it's stereo, they're top and bottom.
Yeah. That's how it works at
Sounds good.
So he turned that, and if you come and look at it, this part, he turned that as well,
Yeah.
off axis.
Yeah. Yeah,
Bob's amazing.
All right, there we go.
That's amazing, yeah.
I don't know how he comes up with this stuff. It's just like,
This is a kind of a different scale.
oh yeah.
Oh, let's see that.
Oh, for the tiny tools.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
So
I
sweet.
saw the one above the, on the big screen behind the order desk at the front of the store. I thought,
Richard Wiles.
Is that, you get that?
That's actually in our office down at head office.
Yeah, I thought it was such a great idea.
Doesn't Jack
So
Forsberg have something similar to this?
What's that?
Jack Forsberg has something similar to that.
He has a full-size one. I don't know if he's done a miniature.
Yeah, it's full size.
What Richard challenged us to do
Okay.
is that he made a full-size toolbox.
Come and hold
Then
it
he
in
made
front
it
of the
miniature.
camera.
Hold it over here.
And then my colleague,
Nice.
Andrew Strom, and I each have our favorite wooden tool totes. So when we formed our new group, started working together, he challenged us to each make a miniature version of our own tool totes.
Okay.
So now if you go down to our office, you'll see Richard's, Andrew's, and mine on a window ledge.
Ah,
1/3 scale.
these became obsolete when I was an apprentice. These were already obsolete. And people started using pressed steel
Oh, yeah.
toolboxes.
In keeping with the small is beautiful syndrome, I managed to solve a universal question when I asked my wife, what do you want for Christmas? And she actually told me. And she said, I want a box for my playing cards. And I was like, okay, fine. So this is it. So this is Honduras mahogany, finishes shellac. There was put a bit of oil on it to pop the grain first, and then multiple coats of shellac. So there you go. It turns out that finger joints are a real pain to get properly calibrated because the error is cumulative as you go along. So you start out at 64th at one end and you're at an 8th at the other end just because of the way it works. I did these using a table saw and a jig with the little indexing pin. If you're interested in how to calibrate that, William Ng has an awesome video on it. Like he gets it down to like 1/1000th of an inch or something. It's like there are feeler gauges involved, but it's a very straightforward. Like just Google William Ng and look for the video on how to calibrate your finger joint jig.
I cheated on that. I have the Inca jig.
Oh, well, yeah, that works too. But yeah, this was a table saw, and anyway, it worked out okay. And the assembly was, like, it was made as a box that could not be opened, and then the top was sliced off, so. That's-
Sorry, what was the last name of the video?
Oh, William Ng, Ng?
Yeah, NG?
Yeah, NG, William NG, yeah.
He's the
Anyway,
guy
so-
who does the fine cut method.
Yeah, that's the guy.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Fantastic.
yeah, so yeah, the video is really quite good, so.
He stopped posting because of the crap that he was getting from negative comments.
I know.
Yeah, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah,
His videos are, I've watched them, the videos are really, really good. But, yeah, it turned out fairly good. I'm reasonably pleased with it, and my wife can't see the mistakes, so that's really the important part. And she's happy, so, you know,
Are they for bridge or what are they?
No, they're just regular playing cards. She play, you know, solitaire, crazy gin rummy. Sometimes some games require 2 decks of cards, so there's space for 2 decks of cards in here. So, and the trim here was added after the fact, so I kind of cheated on that, I guess you could say. But it's a fairly snug fit, which I'm also somewhat pleased about. So,
What's the finish?
Shellac. I always do an oil and turpentine thing first to pop the grain and then sand it with 600 grit, and then I put a final finish on it. And in this case, it was shellac because it's not significantly wearing, like it's not a tabletop. And if it's a tabletop, it's either lacquer or general finish is oil-based. I have occasionally used water-based.
Well, shellac's good, because it's one of the finishes you can repair.
Yeah, you can fix this.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
The other nice thing about it is it doesn't leave a smell, like when you've got
No.
an enclosed box.
Yeah, so I didn't shellac the inside.
It'll never get rid of the smell.
But there you go, so, yeah, it worked out okay. Small things are sometimes harder to do.